Good morning, welcome to another morning at Bay Tree Cottage. I've got another glorious Friday morning. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fabulous bread stuffed with cheese and olives. This is a really enriched dough, so it's very similar to something like a croissant. It's not a normal bread dough which has just got flour, salt, sugar, yeast and water. This dough has got flour, sugar, salt, yeast, and then we're also adding an egg and some milk, which really makes a very rich dough, which is really fabulous. And then we're going to roll it out and stuff it with some olives and cheese. In the recipe it also says with some basil. Now this morning I haven't got any basil here at Bay Tree Cottage, but I did find some chives growing in the garden. So we're going to stuff ours with some chives. And really this does kind of sort of say that you can adapt this recipe to whatever you've got around you, and also to what you like. If you don't like basil, don't put basil in. You can do other herbs, other spices, other flavours. Think about pancetta or ham or whatever you fancy. Really be creative with your bread. And this is a fabulous lunchtime treat. So let's get baking, and hopefully if you've baked one as well, it'll be ready in time for lunch. So we're going to start by adding 250 grams of strong white plain flour. Okay, this is a Haygate's flour, a local flour mill to us. So it's a Haygate's flour, but I would usually use an Aldi strong white flour for all our bread making. If you can't get hold of the strong white flour, then just use a plain white flour. Into that we're going to add a teaspoon of sugar and half a teaspoon of salt. Make sure it doesn't come out too quickly. There we go, half a teaspoon of salt. Then we are going to add half a sachet, what would be half a sachet of dried yeast. Now I couldn't get hold of any sachets of yeast, so I've got a tub of dried yeast. So half a sachet is 3.5 grams. So always remember, if you're making a standard loaf of bread, which is 500 grams, you would use a sachet of yeast. So this is 250 grams of flour, so we're using half a sachet. So that's going to go in, so to 3.5, obviously I haven't got half measure on my gram thing, so we're just going to do it just to over 3, like that. Okay, when you add yeast to your bowl, always remember, don't put it directly over the salt, because the salt will, in a concentrated manner like that, harm the yeast, and it won't be as powerful as it would be normally. Now, I've measured out 100 ml of the milk over here, so I'm just going to put that on to warm slightly. We don't want it too hot, so while that's warming, I'm just going to beat my egg. Now, in the recipe, I know it says to combine the egg and the milk together. However, what I would say is add them separately, because if your eggs are massive, the eggs come in all different sizes. If your egg is massive, you may not need all of the milk. And if you add all of the milk, you're going to end up with a very sloppy, wet dough. So what you need to do is just beat the egg gently like that. I'm just going to come over and just test this milk. This milk just needs to be hand hot, so please don't get it too hot. So that's just hand hot. Okay, so just going to turn that off, swirl that around a little bit, probably a little fraction too warm. So this is really, you could use cold milk. If you've got longer to let your yeast rise, you could just use cold milk. It's a bit of a myth that you need to have a warm place and warm milk or water to get your bread to rise. The best bread is made with cold water or milk and left for the longest time to rise, okay? So first of all, we're just going to add the egg into our mixture. So give that dried ingredients a good stir around, and then we're going to add the egg to the mixture and give it a good stir. Okay, and then we're going to slowly add the milk. Okay, so remember, if you've got, like I say, if you've got a really large egg, you might not need all of this milk. So you want to add enough until it all comes together to form a nice dough. Give it a good stir, find a bit of milk going in. I might actually need a little bit more. So my egg was actually quite small. Okay, this is when you're going to get your hands in. Time to get sticky and messy. And give that dough a knead. And put it together into a nice combined mix. Okay, can you see I've still got some flour around the side of my bowl? So I'm just going to get a tiny squidge more milk to put in there, okay? Just to make sure it's all going to incorporate into that dough. We don't want to leave some flour in the bowl. That's part of our lunch. We can't be leaving any of that in the bowl. Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to lightly flour your work surface, and you need to knead this dough. So, I'll probably put a little bit too much flour on there, so it's just move a little bit out of the way. You don't want to be adding too much flour because it's going to change your ratio of yeast to flour in there. So you just want to gently knead this dough. So fold it over and turn. So I tend to use my right hand to fold and my left hand to turn. So fold and turn. Fold and turn, fold and turn, okay? And you will find after a few minutes, your dough will start to change its form. Now you do need to knead your dough for, really a good 10 minutes. I always say it's 3 songs on the radio you want to knead your dough for. When we have our bread making classes here at Bay Tree Cottage, at Christmas we always have Michael Bublé playing. We allow him to play 3 songs while we're kneading, or we just all have a great chat. So just relax in your kitchen and enjoy 10 minutes of you time kneading your dough. Okay, so when your dough is kneaded, lucky for you guys, I have got one as I prepared earlier. So I'm going to put that, when your dough is kneaded, this needs a bit more kneading, which we'll do when we're finished. When it is kneaded, you will tell when it's ready, is when you press it with your finger, it will spring back up. So that one's not springing back up yet because it still needs some extra kneading, okay? So you need to make sure that it's well kneaded. However, for us, we're going to come on and find the one that I had earlier. So when you've got it kneaded, you're going to put it in a bowl, lightly dust it with flour, and leave it in a nice warm place, or just in the side of the kitchen today because it's so glorious, to rise. Now this one I made probably about 7 o'clock this morning, so it has definitely doubled in size. Okay, so fabulous dough. So we're going to get this out now. Once again, put a little bit of flour on our work surface, and we're going to just scrape that out of the bowl. Okay, now this is where this becomes a really enriched dough, because you're going to add your butter now to this flour, to this dough, and so you're rolling it out into an oblong shape. So about 30 centimetres by about 20 centimetres, if you want to be accurate. So just get that nice. So when this horrible lockdown situation is over, do have a look at our website, because we do run a lot of wonderful bread making classes, and we do the basic artisan breads, where we teach you some really fabulous basic bread, but still fabulously tasty and challenging. And then we do speciality bread and Mediterranean bread. We also have another tutor who teaches sourdough, which is a really fabulous thing to get to grips with and make your own as well. So here we go. So nicely rolled out into your rectangle. Now here is 50 grams of butter. cut up into little squares, and we're going to put half of that amount on the bottom 2/3 of our dough. So if you think sort of from there down, so we're just going to divide that in. It's going to stick to my fingers. I don't want it to stick to my fingers. Okay. So we also do some different bread making classes at different times of the year. We've missed our Easter bread sadly this year because of the lockdown, but we do a fabulous festive bread making class at Christmas, which is also great. So have a look on the website and hopefully you can come and join us for some bread making. Okay, so once your butter is spread, get off my finger, across your dough like that, you're going to fold down your top third of dough like that, press it in, and then fold over again. Okay, this is very similar to how you would make croissants if you're making croissants. Okay, then you're going to repeat that process. So just lightly flour your work surface again. Escape bit of butter there, to pop that one back in. And you're going to roll that out again. So effectively your batter is being rolled into the dough. And this is what really gives this bread these fantastic lines when you cut into it. It really gives it a lovely shape, and it's a lovely light and delicate bread. Okay. Okay, so we're just going to put the remaining bit of butter, exactly the same as we did before, on the bottom 2/3 of the dough. I don't know if you can hear that. I can hear horses going crazy in the field outside. It's such a beautiful spring day today. Although spring, it feels like it's almost summer. But we did check out the weather last night, and it seems like this fabulous kind of early summer heat wave that we're getting is going to last until probably the end of the weekend, and then it's going to get chilly. So do get out and enjoy this fabulous weather. We've been doing some planting at Bay Tree Cottage, and it's just been glorious to spend the time out in the sunshine. So here we go, I'm folding that bread again into 3. Now at this stage here, you're going to make sure that's lightly covered with some flour, wrap it in some cling film, try and reuse the cling film if you had cling film on your bowl, and you're just going to pop that in the fridge for 20 minutes, okay? Now lucky for you guys, you know what I'm going to say, here's one I prepared earlier. So, in the fridge is one that is already prepared. Now, in that 20 minutes that you're waiting for your butter and your dough to do its thing, you would prepare your filling. Okay, so let's just quickly wipe out this bowl. So today we have got cheese and olives, and I'm going to put some chives with it. So if you're using something like basil, you would just tear that up and put that straight into the mixture. But something like chives, it really needs to be cooked a little bit first, just to release the flavour of the chives into the mixture. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of butter into this rather cute little frying pan, and I'm going to cook the chives over here. And I would recommend doing the same sort of thing if you were going to use sage. So for example, you could do, we do this fabulous bread, it's a potato bread stuffed with sage and pancetta. It's really scrummy. So what you would do is cook off the sage first, because those kind of herbs really need pre-cooking to release the flavours. Always helps if I actually turn it on. And you could do the same if you use like a rosemary, so sage, chives, just lightly, you're not frying it, you're just lightly cooking it just to release the flavours. Okay, so we're just going to let that butter melt a little bit. And then add the chives. And while they're releasing the flavour, we're just going to add together our other ingredients. Obviously, another really fabulous one to put into here is garlic. Do you know, this isn't actually working because this fan is not an induction fan. Okay, let's just quickly swap pans over. Excuse the banging around. I didn't realise that wasn't an induction pan. Okay, so we just put it in there and do the same thing in that pan there. Okay, so I'm just going to leave that to do its thing while we come back and mix together the other ingredients. Okay, so our other ingredients are the cheese and the olives. So we've got 50 grams of olives here. Let's turn that right down to a really gentle heat now. So we've got 50 grams of olives and 115 grams of cheddar cheese, which is all pre-grated. Fabulous. Give that a stir through. So another really fabulous thing to put in this bread is some garlic. Just crush the garlic and mix that through as well. So yeah, just have a look in your fridge and see what you've got in your fridge, and just be creative and just try lots of lovely scrummy things. You could even make this a sweet treat. Stuff it with marshmallows and Nutella. You know, just try different things out, and please let us know how you get on. Okay, so let's just have a look and see if these are, yeah, so they're just cooked very gently, and we're just gonna add them through into our smells good from where I am. Okay, and into that we need to add an egg. But we need to just hold back a little bit of the egg for glazing. Okay, so we just need to add, I'm going to beat the egg again. Like I said, I just want a little bit left for glazing it. So let's just add and just retain about that much of the egg for glazing it in a minute. Okay, so that's your filling. Looking rather scrummy. Now, come back to your dough, which has actually risen while it's been cooling in the fridge. Although it's still in the fridge, it still is rising. So lightly dust it with flour, and you're going to roll that out into a large rectangle. So, in effect, my lucky family have got 3 of these. Oh, we've got a chap at the door. Hello. My lucky family have got 3 of these for their lunch this morning, today, because I've got 3 in various different stages. So we're going to decide what we'd like to stuff them with later. But we did suggest you can have ham, you can fry off some bacon, you know, whatever you fancy makes a really lovely filling for these. And I think after the first week of home education, we all deserve a little bit of treat at lunchtime or tea today. Okay, so now it's almost rolled out completely. So you want it quite thin to make nice, delicate bread. One more time that way. So you've kind of rolled that batter all the way through the dough again. One more time up here. So to form a really great rectangle of dough. Okay, one more time that way. And then we're going to put the filling in. And then when it's filled, you're going to leave it again to rise and then cook it for, it takes 20 to 25 minutes at 200 degrees, 220 degrees in your oven. So quite a hot oven. Okay, I think that's quite a good workout doing this, you know, guys. Okay, there we go. So if you've got a bit more time, you might want to just stretch that out a little bit further. So we're going to add the filling now to the dough. Okay, and push that into, cover the whole of that dough. And then, working from the long side, so it's kind of easier to turn this around to face you. Just I'm going to make sure we have got every single little squidge of that filling. Don't want to lose any. And I'm just going to use a little bit of the egg along this bottom edge as a bit of a glue to seal this together, okay? So like a Swiss roll, you're going to roll this up. So just make sure the filling is all the way through. Okay, so roll it up, and you want to make sure that's a nice tight roll, okay? And then the egg on that far side is going to stick it together. Okay, so when you've got it like that, just squeeze it together so it's all compacted in there. And then I always cook this on this round thing. And what I'm going to do is make it into a circle, stick the ends together again with a bit of egg. What's quite nice at this stage is you can cut it into sections like this and stand them up and cook them this way up in the oven, almost like a Chelsea bun kind of idea. But we're going to stick ours together like that, stick the ends together, with a bit of egg, squeeze it out a little bit more. That's not going to stick together. And then with a very sharp knife, we're just going to make some slits in the dough, like this. So you'll find when this cooks in the oven, the cheese kind of bubbles through the slits, and it is just scrummy. Okay. Now that's gonna, sorry, that hasn't quite stuck together. I need to have a little work with that in a minute. Then you just glaze it with a little bit more of the egg. And you can sprinkle on some sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds, or I've got some sunflower seeds actually I'm gonna sprinkle on. So you sprinkle like that. And then just a little handful of sunflower seeds on the top. And that is going to sit for half an hour to an hour to rise and double in size. Again, it's not quite double, but you need it to rise again. And then that's going in the oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And that will be a fantastic scrummy treat for you for your lunch. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that. We have got plans to come back next week to do some more lunchtime treats and cakes and all sorts of lovely things. We did also think, as we discovered some rather lovely fresh horseradish growing in the garden, in the vegetable garden yesterday, that we might show you how to make some wonderful horseradish vodka, which is just the best thing to make a Bloody Mary with, which I think we all really do deserve after this lockdown is finished and we're all ready to get out and see our friends and families again. So we will post up on our Facebook page exactly what we're doing next week. But I will ensure there's some great treats for you to come and learn what to make next week. So have a fabulous weekend, enjoy the sunshine, stay safe whatever you're doing, and see you again. Bye.